Uh-oh, spaghetti. Oh. What's going on with the Dow Jones, guys? I'll tell you about the Dow Jones. Is it flashing warning? Is this market flashing warning they're about to see a sharp correction? Let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, guys. So gonna be looking at the Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P. Be looking at also the silver and gold in the mining sector. Guys, you know what? Mining sector, you know, I'm just gonna, I'll get to that in just a minute, okay? Guys, a lot of people have been asking me about how I actually trade the markets, right? I do these market updates for you, but they say, John, how do you actually trade the markets? What sort of system? What sort of approach do you? How do you trade it? What do you look for in a good setup? And so on and so forth, right? So I've just put together a brand new training for you, walking you through all the details to my trading system. Also going to share with you the 3 secrets that actually makes you a really good trader to help you make a good income from the markets. And also I'm going to share with you something that almost completely wiped me out in my early years, and a bit of a dark past. I'm not really fond of it, but I share it with you anyway, and hopefully the lessons for you not to do that as well too. So anyway, guys, all that sort of stuff, you'll be able to see all that sort of stuff. Link in description, very first thing in the description there, guys. Go check that out. Now, let's have a look at the Dow Jones. Why is the Dow Jones maybe flashing? This is maybe flashing. Of course, look at this here. Back in the good old days, last month, or maybe the month before, the good old days. How about those for your apples? So look at this here, right? So we can see that we have, look at this here. We have a low. Notice this here. Notice this higher low is very, 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 very significant. The distances from there to there is that. Then we had a move up, okay? And then we have this low through here, okay? That's the low. So that's the low. That's very, very, very significant. But look what's happening now. Uh-oh. Notice this low here is right at this low right now. Ooh. And now look what's happening here. We have a high, and also we have a lower high. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. I mean, where did I get that from? Look, it's not my kids. Oh, well, just run with it. It's the opposite to Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong's like, here we go. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o. It's like, oh, yeah. So look what's happening here, guys. So this is actually giving us a bit of a warning sign. Now look at this here. I want to share something with you. Check this out. All right. Here's a bit of TA for you. Technical analysis for you guys that don't know what TA means. Bring up the weekly charts. Okay, and now a lot of the times when you're looking at the market, you can look at the shorter term. So, okay, what's happening here? But to get a really good view, to really see what's happening on the overall picture, you want to be able to read not just the bar analysis, but the flow of the markets. The highs and lows are the key to the kingdom, which is the trend is your friend until the end. And when is the end? When it stops making higher lows and higher highs, right? We know that. So right now, this end of move, the end of this trend is now potentially coming into a bit of a warning sign. So look at this here. Now let's go back to the weekly chart here for a minute. I'm going to squeeze my weekly chart up here, and this is like, was this the last final hooray in the Dow Jones before we see a correction? I don't believe we're at the top of the markets, by the way, guys. I don't believe at the top. No, not the top of the markets. But we can get a correction, right? 5%, 10%, even up to 15%. All right, we can get that. In fact, actually, by the way, guys, if we're down more than 10%, guess who's buying the hell out of the market? This guy, me, right? So, because away we go into next year. Actually, that would actually be really healthy for the market if the market did do that. But anyway. Looking on the Dow Jones, okay? So this is the Dow Jones. But it's weird because if you go to the S&P 500, the Dow and the Nasdaq, especially the Nasdaq like, what bear market? What are you talking about, right? Anyway, I'll get to the Nasdaq in just a minute. But look what's happening here, right? We have a beautiful, notice this high point up here. Look at this. It's like, whoa. Hang on a minute. Whoa. Hang on. We had resistance. Look what happened here. We broke just back above it, and now we're just holding, and now we could be getting a break back down. So if we break back down below there and we close there on a weekly basis, we could be getting a move back down towards these lows here. All right, John, zoom it in so I can see it. All right, I'll do that for you, okay? All right, so here we go. So what I'm talking about here is this. We have this ultimate high point up through here somewhere. Look at that, right? Actually, we may be getting a close below that now. It's probably through there. I just want to try and get... what I'm trying to do, guys, is you can use the highs here, but what I like to do is the closing price to me is the most important part. So if I can get to when I'm drawing my trend lines, if I can draw the trend lines not on the highs, but where the market closes, because notice this point here, right? So notice where I'm drawing the trend line right now is right there. Now, why would I draw it there? Because notice how we couldn't break above there. We couldn't break above. We closed right there. Couldn't break above. Closed right there. Closed right there. Closed right there. And notice this. Notice as soon as we closed back above there, ting, changed, right? To what? Resistance became support, support, support. What's happening now? Interesting, right? Interesting. So we're not closing below it yet. But what happens what happens over the next, actually, one more day left of this week. That's like, what happens over the next few days? John, there's one more day left of the week. So look what's happening there. Right? So we can see that if we get a close below here, guess what does that mean? Just like back here. Remember just back here? Right back there? Just like back here, as soon as it closed above, it's likely to be resistance. If we close below here, guess what? We're probably likely to see a move back down towards these lows down to here. Now, if we measure from the high down to the low there, that's about probably 5 or 6%. It's probably not much. All right. Now, we definitely do have I'm seeing a bit of a short-term trend line coming up through as well too. And actually look at that as well too, guys. All right. So I'm just drawing the shorter-term trend line. We did have a few bounces through there. Right, the main touches would be somewhere through there. But look what's happening here, right? So we're starting to get a bit of a warning sign. This is actually flashing red for the Dow Jones anyway. Which it's really interesting, guys. Like I'm in a couple of stocks I'm in right now. Are just buying opportunities. But right now I'm also in a couple of stocks, and one stock I'm actually in the Dow Jones is actually a short trade. So no, the market's going to pull back. Guess what? This guy's going to make some good money, right? It's going to haka-ching, 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 right? I'm going to ride it down with it. So bring it on. So, and a lot of the stocks in the Dow Jones have been quite weak lately. So you can see what's happening there. So if I go back to my daily chart here, you can see where we're at. So if we continue to break below this major level of support here, we have another more of a down movement through here, then that could actually be a sign that we're probably likely to see a move back down towards these lows level through here. Probably looking at this major levels, more of a conservative level would be around that 33,600. Whoa, right? Because and so you can see what's happening through there from the big picture to the small picture. But let's go have a look at this here. So that's the Dow Jones. Dow Jones is like warning. We're about to drop. Okay, so this is the warning sign. But the S&P 500 says, whoops, wrong one. S&P 500 says, what are you talking about? We're making beautiful higher lows here, right? Low, beautiful higher low. We could be getting a pullback to a 50%. This is a 50% Fibonacci level through here. Beautiful pullbacks. If we go up one more, this is now the Nasdaq chart, the Nasdaq daily chart we're looking at here. This has had a beautiful sideways phase, had a low, had a beautiful run up. We're just going sideways, so we get a bit of a pullback. Could be a nice, good move. So maybe when the Dow Jones is pulling back, maybe the S&P and the Nasdaq do pull back, but just a little bit through to here, and then away we go again. So really interesting stuff, guys. So that Dow Jones is definitely flashing warning, but again, it would have been more powerful to see on the S&P 500. But just like anything, right? We are in this massive wedgie, and maybe just maybe there's not going to be a massive melt up from this wedgie here. Maybe just maybe we're going to actually get a break to the downside. And if we do break this massive wedgie, guys, then you know what? Maybe that melt up that I'm looking for this year is probably not going to, or may not happen, right? Because who knows? It could go down for a month and then screams. Right? Santa Claus rally is just a screamer. So we'll have to wait and see there. But that's really, really, really interesting. That's what's going on there. Let's have a look at silver and gold here, guys. Silver and gold, we can see on the gold chart. Gold did pretty much a nothing day today. We had a bit of a down day yesterday, a bit of a sideways day today. But we're definitely holding around just above this $1,780 level. The really interesting key level for me would be this 1,760, which is this 50% Fibonacci level right there. So that's the main key that I'm looking at for to see what's happening with these markets, right? This main level right through there, right? So if we get a drop down through there and then we hold and then we do something like that, guess what, guys? That's pretty powerful, right? Because this is now probably going to be the start of an overall big trend if that does eventuate in the market. So that's what I'm going to be watching for to see what happens here with gold, to see if we do drop down or see what happens there. Move over now through to silver, and silver has actually been still pretty weak, guys. Silver is actually very, very weak. We're still developing this sort of, we have a move down, lower high, and this could just be another lower high before we get that as well too. So silver is not really doing much, right? So I'm moving over now through the mining stocks, and this is something that I was telling my private clients and as well too. I was like, you know what, guys? Looking at the GDX, right, which is probably the top gold mining stock out there, the big mining stocks, right? The GDXJ is like those juniors, but the big mining stock, I was always wondering here, right? Last week I was thinking about, here we go, end of trend, slingshot pattern, here we go. Now, that looks like it's not actually playing out. It doesn't look like that. So I have to bend and mold with the markets, but I always had in the back of my mind, like, hang on a minute, a lot of these markets actually broke their support, where you can see the GDX hasn't done so yet. So maybe, just maybe, guys, and I don't expect it to be big, but maybe, just maybe, we're going to see a pullback in the stock market, as well as a dragging down on the miners and metals. We get a bit of a flush down like that through here, in that there. We may spend a little bit more time going down like that, and then maybe we start to turn around, and then maybe that's the massive slingshot pattern I want to see. And so that's going to be really interesting to see. Maybe we're looking for a bit of a deflationary period now, because that Dow Jones is not looking too good. We're in that wedgie on the S&P 500, and this mining stock is like, you know what? We're still compressing high, lower high, lower high. So the sellers are still knocking this down and knocking it down and knocking it down. The interesting thing is that if you look at the GDXJ actually broke below it, came back up, and then it just rejected right at that resistance level right there. You can see how it came back up, rejected it, but guess what we're doing still? Lower high, and now we're rolling back over. So maybe, just maybe, guys, we're ready for some more downside. The SIL, same sort of thing. We actually broke above this level through here, but maybe that's just not. Maybe it's not going to be the false breakdown. Maybe it's not going to be the slingshot pattern after all. And that's the sign of a good trader, right, guys? Because when we're reading the markets, if the market's doing something right now, cool. But if a couple of days later, if the market starts to do something, now this is if you're a short-term trader, if the market starts to not operate the way that you want to see it, guess what? You need to bend and mold with the market. One of the worst mistakes that I did as a trader would always be, okay, I have a view on this market and I'm never changing. And if someone tells me different, they're wrong. No, maybe they're right. Maybe you're wrong, right? It happens in life as well too. A lot of people just have these ideas about, why they're so right, and they've never stress test their opinions to see whether they're right. Oh, but John, you don't understand. I watched his YouTube video and he agrees with me. Really? Okay, anyway, back to the markets. High, lower high, lower high. The trend is your friend until the end. We potentially were getting this slingshot pattern. The thing that I did notice, guys, when I was calling the slingshot pattern, and then over the last few days I've been watching the mining sector, a good slingshot pattern comes like this, right? We have a good slingshot pattern. We have support, 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 and then we get a flush down, right? We get a flush down, and then we either get a strong move back up like that, or we get a bit of a sideways movement, and then we start to come back up like that. That there is a good slingshot pattern. Notice how we didn't do that here. Notice how we just actually went just down a little bit, down a little bit, down, up a little bit, down. We didn't get the big flash, did we? And then we didn't get something like that coming back up again. That'll be the key sign, because I'm thinking, okay, obviously I've read this slingshot pattern wrong. Maybe it's right, I don't know. But right now it looks like it's not working. What did I miss? And when I go back to all my slingshot patterns that I've used and traded, that's the big key dominator, right? Is we have the big flush down, like a real big flush down first, and then it reverses right back up. And generally at this point in time here, if you do get something like this, you have big volume spike, small volume, small volume, small volume, small volume, and then another big volume spike. And then it's a bit of a U-turn, and then away we go. So that's maybe, just maybe, what is in suit for the books for the mining sector. So guys, once again, if this is for short term, okay, guys, this is what may happen over the next few weeks to a month, okay? If you're like me, which I do, which I do have a portfolio, and the portfolio says, you know what, John, come back in 2025. Right now, short term, who gives a rear end rat's ass what happens in the next 2, 3 months, 4 months, right? Okay. Because I do see a big move coming. And so maybe we haven't seen the bottom just yet in these mining sectors. And maybe we're just getting rid of that. So I'm just bending and molding and being a good trader with these markets. So this is my view here, guys. But once again, this is just me reading the markets. How I actually actively trade the markets is based on a trading system. To me, it's the best, highest probability trading system on the planet. I have recorded a brand new training, guys, walking you through all the details of that trading system. I also share with you the 3 secrets that you must know in order for you to do really well at trading. And also share with you one thing that completely almost wiped me out and sent me to my knees. And that's a bit of a story about my dark past, which I'm not really happy about, but I share with you anyway. So anyways, that very first link in the description, click on that. You'll be able to see all the details to that, and I'll see you in the next video.